Welcome to our second video on existence. This one is titled, A First Cause Needs Causal Power. In this video, I will analyze what I consider to be the only 5 possibilities for a first cause, and 3 examples of causal power. The definition I am using for causal power is not the same as causation that we are familiar with, such as winning the lottery causes screams of joy. Causal power is the ability to generate existence. An example would be God using his causal power to create the earth and then to populate it with humans. As said in video 1, a first cause must have causal power. The 5 possibilities of a first cause are God, consciousness, nothingness, something real, something not real. Something real, God, and consciousness all have the same major flaw. They all require an infinite regress to explain their existence, at least for now. That leaves us with something not real and nothingness. Nothingness has the wonderful properties of being the most likely state of existence, fundamental and perfect. The problem here is that things exist. So how could nothingness, the absence of everything, have causal power? We'll explore that later in this video. Something not real would take us into the realm of abstract objects. Here we can intuitively grasp the possibility of causal power, at least if we use our imaginations. And so a few definitions. Abstract objects are objects not present in time and space and do not interact causally with our world. Concrete objects are objects which are spatial, temporal, and can interact causally with our world. A side note, in this video, one abstract object will be presented that does interact with our reality. The profound meaning of that will be covered in a future video. So the list becomes in the order that is presently most likely. Abstract objects, nothingness, God, consciousness, something real. Starting with abstract objects. Math can be considered an abstract object. Math is often debated as to whether it is created or discovered. While numerical quantities 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are true whether or not there is anything to count or anyone to do the counting. So I am clearly on the side of the discovered. A more advanced version is as follows. A logician here on Earth, working with a set of axioms, comes up with a long proof for a theorem. Additionally, say there was only one way to prove that theorem. Then, if there was a logician on the opposite side of the Milky Way, working with the same axioms, he or she would have to come up with the exact same proof, meaning that the proof was out there somewhere in the abstract realm, waiting to be discovered. Now, are there other abstract objects? Well, yes, many. But for now, let's consider plane geometry. Circles, squares, lines, triangles are all intuitively obvious and certainly have distinct properties that rigidly fall out of what they are. The prime example is, of course, the Pythagorean theorem, which is true anywhere in the universe. What I am saying here is that some abstract objects exist merely because they are true. They have no need for, nor do they have a creator. Let's get into the first 3 causal powers. Our first mode of causal power, operative abstract objects, such as plus, minus, division, multiplication, equals. Again, logically and intuitively obvious as true whether or not there is any one to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. And so the very simple conclusion, 2, 3, 5 exist as abstract objects. Plus equal exist as operative abstract objects. Conclusion, 2 plus 3 equals 5 exists as an emergent abstract object. Conclusion, abstract objects can relate and form new abstract objects. The second mode for causal power in the abstract realm. This mode requires a twist in our thinking patterns. Remember, we humans live in the macroscopic world that is determined by cause and effect. The abstract realm needs not be so rigid. Let's consider this first self-referential statement. This statement is false. If true, it's false. If false, then it is true. This self-referential statement is apparently invalid in that it contradicts itself. But let's think of it in another light. This statement is false. If true, it's false. If false, then it is true. This statement generates an infinite progression of alternating contradictions. So rather than saying this statement has no validity in that it contradicts itself, consider that we have found an abstract object that has a type of causal power. Another outcome of this first self-referential statement is that it implies that a driving force is not necessary for causal power within the abstract realm. The third mode of causal power within the abstract realm has far-reaching importance as it is an everyday experience. I will get to it by example using colors. Colors do not exist in our universe. The breakdown of why this is so will be in a future video. Yet colors are perceived by sentient beings in our universe. So we'll conclude, colors do not exist in our universe. Sentient beings in our universe perceive colors. Conclusion, colors are abstract objects that interact with our physical universe. Colors also have no logical or intuitive basis on which they are built, such as math and geometry have. Logical abstract objects, such as math and geometry, exist merely because they are true. Colors are neither logical nor intuitive nor necessarily true, yet they exist as abstract objects. Conclusion, this implies a generative principle exists within the abstract realm. That is, there exists a generative principle operating within the abstract realm that can create abstract objects outside of being logical truth. This generative principle itself is an abstract object. The first three modes of causal power within the abstract realm include interaction, self-referential, and a generative principle. And, so far, they do not appear to need a driving force as causality in our universe needs. The vast ramifications of the generative principle will be more thoroughly discussed in a future video. So now it's time to consider our second category, nothingness. Let's go back to a possible beginning and assume that not even the abstract realm exists. There is a total absence of everything. Can we make a statement about this nothingness that hints at causal power? In other words, does nothingness have causal power? A first conclusion would be so. Nothingness is the absence of anything. Conclusion, nothingness is absent causal power. Yet I will suggest there is another way to look at this. Nothingness is the absence of everything. Nothingness is the only thing that is nothing. Conclusion, nothingness exists because it doesn't exist. Conclusion, nothingness is an abstract object. Another conclusion we can come to is that nothingness is self-referential, and therefore, another conclusion, nothingness has causal power. Now you may think that this is some sleight of hand, but I suggest patience. And so, if you will be patient, our list of first causes becomes abstract objects, nothingness, God, consciousness, and something real. There is a reason I have kept this list intact and did not remove God, consciousness, and something real as first causes. That will be for future videos. In the next video, video 3, we explore how complicated can an abstract object be. So let's meet again in video 3.